Hello, friends, and welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate, where we are on a quest. We are looking for the extra in the ordinary. And I'm Tad Fulford, and I will be your host on this journey where we will take an honest look at what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Exactly how can we be extra in our personal and our professional lives? In this season of the Rise Up in Real Estate adventure, there will be a monthly rhythm, meaning each month we will have 4 unique episodes. In one episode, we'll tackle a pressing current real estate industry thought. In another, we will chat with a local difference maker in the real estate space. For our 3rd episode, we will host a respected national thought leader. And finally, we will have a 4th bonus and surprise episode. And in each episode, we will be digging into not only what those people think, but who those people are. Along the way, it's my hope that you'll laugh some, you'll be challenged some, you will get inspired some, and if we are lucky, maybe even figure out a way or two you can rise up in your own life and be the best human that you can be. So the challenge is, let's all rise up. Hello, Rise Up Nation. Welcome back to our podcast. I'm excited to introduce you to a great friend of mine, and you will be happy out there in Rise Up Nation because this is an expert in a field that's affiliated with ours in real estate. So a lot of times I just talk to random people. Today I've got somebody that you might actually learn something from, which is going to be really cool. I've got a great friend of mine, Erica Davis, on here today. She is president of Guild Mortgage. Just kidding. She's a loan originator with Guild Mortgage. I've been with them for a lot of time. We'll catch up on how long she's been there and what she does there in just a few minutes. But Erica, thanks for agreeing to come on the show today. I'm excited to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And, you didn't put any pressure on me to say that you guys are going to learn so much. We'll see.
Yeah, no pressure. So because half the time, this podcast is called Rise Up in Real Estate, but I forget that it's about real estate. And a lot of times we'll just talk. My podcast actually made it into they categorize podcasts based on content, and I'm in the self-help category, which is hysterical. Rise Up in Real Estate and self-help. We actually all need self-help if we're in real estate and mortgages. But I want to start by letting you tell your story real quickly because I know you, but maybe the listeners don't. By the way, we're in the coastal region of South Carolina. I'm with a real estate brokerage here, and Erica is in the lending world. So, Erica, tell us a little bit about where you came from. Where did you grow up? Where did you graduate from high school, college? And then we'll go into the rest of your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I am one of the few natives here in Myrtle Beach. Actually knew Mandy, your bride, in high school. Graduated Myrtle Beach High School in 99. I was a proud Seahawk cheerleader.
There you go.
I have 2 brothers. My family, when I say my family, grandparents are from Myrtle Beach as well. And my grandfather was also in the real estate world. He helped with a lot of developments down here, more on the North Myrtle Beach side. My uncle was in real estate as well. My father and brother are in the lending world. So real estate and just seeing Myrtle Beach grow has been a true passion, in my family lifeline, if you will. And then I have 2 wonderful children of my own. Allie Greer is 12. Hunter is 14. They are at Myrtle Beach schools as well. And yes, I have, and I've been in lending for 20 years. Yes, I'm going to tell my age. I got in right out of college, and this will always be my career. And y'all can probably hear my children upstairs as well. Sorry about that.
That's all right. That sounded like a cry of desperation. Does somebody need help? Are they good? This podcast is not that important.
No, they're good. They're, it's raining outside, so they're having fun in all different ways.
That's so funny. I do this sometime. We do this podcast from everywhere. So I have actually been in Starbucks. I've been at my house. My dogs bark. The handyman walked in one day and the dog bit him. And so we've got, a lot of excitement. So I can't believe that you've been doing this 20 years, and I can't believe you have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. You take great care of yourself. You seem to, I don't even like the word balance because I don't think that's possible, but you seem to live a pretty balanced life. Is that true? You have a lot of priorities, but you seem together most of the time.
Balance is definitely a hard statement, especially in the real estate world and lending. I think we all share in common. It's like, oh, people will say, you don't have to be on a schedule, you run your own schedule. And yes, we do. But we also have the ability to work all the time and not have that balance. And it's very easy to do so, especially those, that are competitive. Hint, hint, a lot of us are being in these roles. But I do, balance is something that I always try my best to achieve. One of my biggest stress relievers is working out. It's a must for me. So no matter what time, at least 5 days a week, I'm getting it in. It could be 4 in the afternoon, and yes, I get right back to my phone and to work. But yeah, I definitely do try to balance out between the personal life and business as well. But, most weekends, yes, I do play catch up. It just depends on, what is going on with the kids and everything. I just try to shift however I can to instill that family time and personal time as well.
A lot of times, if you put on a happy face, people think you've got it all figured out, and that's probably because I know you put I hope you guys will follow and find Erica on social media. She does a great job putting a very professional image foot forward, and yet she's a hardworking mom of 2 and running a household and all of that stuff. So utmost respect for you, and I always have. Erica and I have known each other for, gosh, I don't even know how long. I've been here 20. I'm not a native, but I'm a lot older than you, and I've been here 20 years already. And Mandy, I'd forgotten that you guys are like the only natives that I know, I think, to the area. They say there's 8 of you out there. It's like unicorns. If you can find them all at one time, you win a prize. So I haven't found them yet, but you were 99 you were a Seahawk. I don't remember what year Mandy graduated from Socastee.
She's a year or 2 younger than me. And I can't remember. We share something in common. Either she was like Miss Socastee. I was, we did those fun pageants, or maybe, excuse me, she was Miss Sun Fun. Is that familiar for?
Oh, yeah. And she'll kill me if I talk about it all. But yeah, when I first met her, we were getting to know each other. I didn't know any of that. Her mom kind of forced her in the pageant. If you know my wife, she was a gymnast, a cheerleader, but she's the strong type. Like, she just has always been physical fitness. Actually, when she was in the pageants, her claim to fame was that when she came out on the runway in whatever outfit she would flex. Instead of, pose, she would flex, and she got to be huge. So I think she was Miss Socastee, and she also was Miss Sun Fun. Yeah, it's funny when I got to see all the pictures. I was like, who in the world am I? Is she a celebrity, or I don't know? Yes. But around here, that is celebrity. That's the celebrity we are around here. That's amazing. Yeah. Did y'all actually know each other, or you just kind of just in the same circles?
Well, this was before, good old cell phones and social media. So I knew of her because it was just such a small local group.
Right.
But, those were the days you didn't, I don't know, you just didn't know everyone like you do now. We saw her obviously cheerleading, but we didn't have a close relationship until we met professionally.
Yeah, that's right. So when you were in college and you were thinking of what to do, or when you were trying to choose a career, was there really a choice for you, or because your family was in it, you just went right in it? Tell me how that all went.
Well, of course, being a little bit of that type A driven personality, I was like, no, I am not getting into that. I was going to be an attorney and then thought about getting into politics. And now thinking that's what I was going to do. I'm not sure what I was thinking back then, but yes, that was my, kind of that was the path I was going to take. And the further along I got into taking the LSAT and going and visiting, these different opportunities I had to go into law school, I really started thinking, I'm like, okay, Erica, is this really what you want to do? And anyway, it kind of kicked in. How it all got started is, of course, I would see my dad on a day-to-day basis being in lending and talking about helping clients achieve homeownership. And he was just genuinely happy in his career, still has not retired. And I really always admired that, having to be, a passion for your career. And it really did start to sink in with me, am I going to be as passionate about being an attorney? Or is this me just wanting to do the opposite?
Right.
And then I talked to a gentleman. He is still my boss, always has been. His name is Matt McGillivray. He was with Bank of America, and then we all left Bank of America to start Guild here on the Southeast about 10 years ago. And it was so great because he just talked to me and had a real open conversation about the lending world, and again, helping others and being able to do that on a daily basis, help people achieve, the American dream of owning a home and starting to build wealth. And it wasn't family that was telling me this. It was an outside person. And after he said that, I'm like, yes, you're right. Why wouldn't I want to do that? And so afterwards, right out of college, I think I graduated on a Friday, and Monday got into the lending world. And this will forever be my career. It truly is a blessing for me.
That's neat. Did you work with your dad right away?
Not right away, no. I lived in Columbia. I went to University of South Carolina, lived in Columbia for a couple of years and worked directly with Matt in his local office there. And Columbia is a great place. However, I'm a beach girl at heart. I was dying to get back to my hometown. So a few years later, moved back to Myrtle Beach and was in the same building as my dad, not the same office. So it was great. We could kind of go back and forth and talk to one another, but we weren't in the same office, each and every day. So it was the perfect balance.
Yeah, that my dad wanted me to work with him. My sister did work with him for a little while, and I think the only way to make that family thing work is if you're in different offices in the same building.
Yes.
So that was probably good. You had all the benefits of having him there if you needed him, but he wasn't there when you didn't need him.
Correct.
So that's pretty cool. Is your dad type A also? Can you believe I don't think I've ever met your dad?
Oh, wow.
That? Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Maybe just have him I'll have him on the podcast one day. But what is he type A also?
Very much so. And we really don't look alike. I'm a whopping 5'2". He's 6'4". My whole family's tall, and then there's me. But yes, and he absolutely loves to talk. He loves to wear a smile on his face too. And my dad, if you're listening, you're probably going to get a little mad at me, but the older he gets, he is not hearing as well. And of course, he is not going to wear hearing aids at all. That's just, not an option. No. So yes, he will talk and talk and talk. And if he doesn't hear you, it doesn't mean that he doesn't want to. But
he just doesn't hear. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's funny. Well, he has got a tremendous amount of respect in this market. And I didn't know that about Matt.
Yeah.
I spent some time talking to you and Matt on the phone not too long ago, and I called him Mark 14 times because I was thinking of your dad, but I didn't know you guys had a history. So you've been in the business for a while, right? You've been a loan originator, and you also were managing an office kind of, or managing a team or whatever. But so the market, there's a lot of chatter right
Mhm.
now, right now, I don't know if there is or not, but I just wanted you to give me your take on how things are currently. You've been through several markets. I mean,
Mhm.
you must have been around in 2007 when the bottom fell out and everybody blamed it on the banks. I don't know if
Yeah.
you were at Bank of America at that time, but talk to us about what you've been through and what you think's happening right now a little bit.
Yeah. And one thing I definitely want to touch on is for those of you who, were part of the market in 2007, we're seeing a little bit, of the same thing that we're going through right now. A couple years ago, business was falling from the sky for everyone. Interest rates were 3%. Back then, interest rates weren't as low. I remember they were around like 6%, but everybody did adjustable rate mortgages back then. So, no, it wasn't on a 30-year. But back then, there were no guidelines. You could literally, one person could get 10 loans all at one time. And we didn't do our checks and balances to make sure that the people could actually afford it. And that was a huge mistake. And, we saw a ton of foreclosures, and therefore we saw the value significantly decrease. So that was something that, the lending world, we learned from, right? So now we do have to do all this paperwork. Yes, I know your clients will complain about that, but it's for a great purpose, and it's for, their protection, that we won't get back to that space where we're seeing the foreclosures and again, decrease in value, to make sure they're building that wealth and building that equity. Um, so now, again, we're kind of going through again something similar, but thankfully we've got those checks and balances. So even though interest rates are rising and, the market is tightening up a little, we don't have to worry about a huge decrease in value. And you guys know firsthand, there's still a huge need here in Myrtle Beach. And I think there always will be, because, we've got these great low taxes, and it's still, we're still in an affordable market here. Now, interest rates, there has been, oh my goodness. I mean, it's one extreme to the other as far as what the predictions are. We've seen, interest rates are kind of holding steady around about 7%. If the inflation continues to rise, guys, they might go up to 8.5%. I've seen that, or, seen predictions that they would go as high as that. But then on the flip side, if we get into a true recession, these interest rates can come back down to around 5%. So the next 2 years, we honestly are an unknown, I believe, territory as
Mm-hmm.
far as these interest rates are concerned. As interest rates kind of, relate to the actual housing market, if the rising rates did, push home values down even just a little bit, I still think it's a great opportunity, because we have a ton of first-time home buyers that are pre-approved. But now, there's very limited inventory on homes that they can truly afford. So you've got, if that makes sense, there's kind of pros and
Mm-hmm.
cons to all these possibilities.
That's an interesting perspective. I had several questions as you were talking.
Mhm.
Um, I never thought of this before, but why in the world would they have lended money back in 2007, not knowing if someone could repay it? I mean, it seems like
I know.
that's the foundational issue when you lend
Mhm.
money, is can someone pay it back? But we won't get into that, because there's been books written about that, and I'm sure a lot of sleepless nights over. And I took advantage of that. I think I heard a statistic not too long ago that 46% of the United States experienced foreclosure of some sort.
Isn't that wild?
46%. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a high number. I don't remember who said that, but somebody other than me said it. It was reputable. But I think what you're talking about with the rates I mean, you're an expert in your field. I mean, I know you well enough. I know you read a lot, you
Mhm.
study a lot. You're not just doing this like when you have time. This is this is a career minded woman that we're talking to here, and a passionate. And I loved how many times you made reference to the American dream of home ownership. I mean, I forget that in the grind of day-to-day activity. That's what we're involved in. And I appreciate you reminding me of that. But so here's an expert who studies, who does her homework that I trust. And we've worked together for a long time, who basically just said, there's no telling what might happen.
I mean, there's not. And
I mean, they're either going to go, the rate's either going to go up or it's going to go down or it's going to stay the same. Yeah. There's your three options. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important. What do you think, like when you're talking to a borrower, and because I know what it's like on the sales side as a real estate mm-hmm. professional, but when you're talking to a buyer, how do you counsel them with that uncertainty? What's important? I mean, how do you, I guess you just tell them what like it is, but how do you talk to a borrower?
It's definitely, I love the fact that we have to go back to the basics. And the reason we all got in this business, it's so important now in the market we are, that it's even a first-time home buyer, somebody that's, making an investment purchase and they do it on a regular basis, to really understand their options and where we are right now. For a first-time home buyer, if these interest rates go up 0.5 point when they're in the process, that obviously cuts down their buying power, probably by $50,000. So it's very important that, with those clients that are tight, regardless of first-time buyer or not, we have to stay in contact, realtors and lenders, probably on a weekly basis, to touch base, see how the home search is going. And again, if those interest rates are going up, we need to, make sure that they're aware that now they're pre-qualified for a lesser amount, and making sure that agent is aware as well, because it really affects them. And I think through all this, again, first-time home buyers are the ones who unfortunately are most affected, because let's face it, gosh, these rental prices, I mean, they continue to increase. So it makes complete sense for them to purchase a home. Mm-hmm. It's just unfortunate, that again, we really don't have homes in that $200,000 to $250,000 range anymore. And being in a tourist area, a lot of our clients, they're not W-2, or they're not making a set hourly pay. There's commission, there's tips that might not all be on paper, and will limit them to how much they can qualify for on top of the rising rates. So it's just a lot that goes into that process, and you never want to disappoint people. That's why you've got to be so honest and open right at the beginning on exactly where they are. And hey, these rates are changing. We have to communicate back and forth until we get you locked in and ready to go when the perfect home, fits your situation.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you know this about me or not. I actually had my loan originator's license for a while, and mm-hmm. the thing I enjoyed the most about it, and it's similar to real estate, is like putting a puzzle together.
Yes.
There's so many things, so much information you have to gather, so many factors involved. And now, and I guess it's always true, but the market is a big part of it. Mm-hmm. Like, what is the market going to do in the time that these borrowers are trying to get their money? And that's one thing I've always appreciated about you is when I've known you, is that you're on. If I ever had a question about anything going on, I would call you. Yeah, because you're like on top of your game, and you're paying attention, and you're talking to the right people around the country. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you a hard question. You just told me what might happen, and I know I won't hold you to this, but what's your crystal ball guess? Like, give us this is what Erica thinks is going to happen 6 months in a year. And if it happens, we'll be happy. Maybe we'll win the lottery this week. If not, we won't hold it against you. What do you think? Just based on your experience.
Well, I am in lending. I am, believe it or not, guys, a conservative one. So you're probably not going to like my answer. I do think that we've got at least 6 more months of these interest rates rising. Okay. I hate to say that, but It just seems like, inflation, it's still rising. And then we have an election next year as well. So I don't think this is going to be a quick fix. And
Right.
so now more than ever, we've got to be on our A game. We have to know what's going on in the market, and at least, real estate agents, y'all are the experts in that. I don't know, your expertise in real estate, but just be aware of these products that are coming out and different options. And most importantly, if a buyer is told no by one bank, it doesn't mean that there's not options out there. Everyone specializes in different things. And, you know, it just might not be the right fit for that particular bank.
Yeah.
So yes, now's the time just to be on top of it and just be aware of, potential options within, different lenders and even what the state's offering now.
Yeah. So those are the reasons that you have to have a professional in your pocket as a real estate agent, because I just can't know it all. I can't know. And I'm saying with an attorney, I can't know all that. I can't know all the lending things. If you live or own property along the coast of South Carolina, you probably need insurance. We Insure Advocates is a locally owned independent agency with industry-leading service support. Our team of customer-centric agents can explain your coverage options and help you craft an insurance program that fits your needs and budget. Data-driven for better value, people-led for better service. That's the difference of we. For all of your property insurance needs, please find us at weinsureadvocates.com or call us at 843-491-6990. Brag for a minute about where you work. And I know that this is not a Guild commercial, and I know there are lots of options. But one of the things I appreciate about you is you've been with them for so long. I did learn that loan originators tend to shop a lot and hop around, similar to agents in some regards. Some of it's valid, some of it's not. But you've been with your group for a long time, since you were with Bank of America. So brag about Guild. What do you love about them? What can you offer that's unique? Talk to us.
Well, so our core group, meaning leadership, loan officers, and most importantly, our operations, underwriters, closers, processors, we have been together literally for over 20 years. And this group, I will never leave, because I can pick up the phone no matter what time. I can get the head of our operations, whomever I need, to pick up the phone and get things done and execute. And we're all have the same values, and that's your loan on time every time. And no matter what the customer does, and I definitely will come back to this and share a story that I had recently, but a customer is a customer. It's their home, and we are going to do everything we can to make sure that the closing goes smoothly in communication. So that's first and foremost. And then with Guild, we service the majority of our loans, which may not sound like a big deal, but it so is. That means if anything changes, if you want to make a large principal payment, if you want to do what's called a recast, put funds towards your mortgage, and we actually lower the payment, we can do that. There's no cost, and your client doesn't have to be on an 800 number. You can come see me. I'll handle all that for you. And so clients are first and foremost, and then our referral partners, absolutely. Like, when I say that we keep in touch with our clients, everything we do always associates back with you. So for instance, like if we're doing, we always make, annual calls and birthday calls, everything like that. I know who referred that client, and I always bring your name up. And then some other things that we offer, like HomeBot gives home values. again, that's co-branded with you guys because it takes a village 100%. And I will never forget that. So all those things with Guild, it's a great company that I'm aligned with.
Yeah, I think it's neat that you've been there that long. That's one thing we like about where we are is, have there been other options, other opportunities? Yeah. But for me, it's like if you stick with it and don't jump, there's something to be said about relationships and time with a group, decision making. I can see how it becomes easier. You know each other's tendencies. You start trusting each other more. So cool story. My favorite question that I ask people on my podcast, favorite for me, they don't really like it, is for you to tell me your superpower. Like, what do you think that Erica brings to the table that, and I can tell you what it is if you want, but I want you to tell our listeners what you bring to the table that's unique, and brag on yourself, although I know it's not comfortable. Talk to us about your superpower.
Okay. I'm going to get a little cheesy here.
That's fine.
I think my superpower is honestly my smile, because I smile with the inside of my heart. And I sincerely mean that. We all go through challenges in our lives. Certainly we do. I had some major health issues and just, life hurdles, if you will. And through that, I have learned a lot. I've grown. And the biggest takeaway is like, nothing is promised. Life is the here and the now, and we don't know when it's our last minute here on earth. So enjoy every second, the good and the bad, because again, we just don't know what the future holds, and try to be your best.
Yeah, we didn't even go into your health issues because I didn't want to. We could do another episode on that, because I bet, like, I had Lori White on here and I had Pamela and Craig Baum on here, and they told their stories about, Lori told her story about her husband, and Pam's dealing with cancer now, and the connection that creates between humans is part of the reason I do the show. Yeah. And I bet I didn't even know you were going through all of that. That's how much you wore your smile when you were going through it all. So I'm eager to hear that someday. Thank you for reminding me of that. You guys are welcome to reach out to Erica too, and she'll tell you her story, I'm sure, if it helps. But
yeah,
I'm glad you said your smile, because I wish you could see her on here. I hate, I don't often feel like I'm pretty ugly, but when I'm up against you, I do. Like, we're the only two people on the screen, and I'm like, I got a supermodel on here. Yeah. Your smile is contagious. It fills your whole face, and every time I see you, you're wearing it. I know sometimes you don't want to, probably, but because it's a tough business that you're in. But I do appreciate that about you, for sure. And I know that you have, life has been life, hasn't it? And I love doing the podcast in your house because I hear your kids in the background. This is real life, folks. This is a single mom raising her kids, killing it. Just doing it right from her house, and who knows what those kids are. When you get done, you're going to have to go find out what they've done. So tell me, recommend, from your perspective, what's a good business or personal book that you read? And I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. Help us build our library. What should we read?
There's always good ones. Devotional wise, I have, read a ton, but I always go back to my daily bread. It's amazing. So that, if you're a Christian, and then, Atomic Habits, that has been a great one. And it's just teaching yourself, whatever it is you want to do, you've got to work hard to make it a habit. And it could be little things like you want to do your daily devotional each and every day. Small things, put it right beside your coffee maker if you drink coffee as much as I do. Or, you want to go work out, put those tennis shoes right beside your alarm. put it in your calendar until you don't need to do it again. So, yeah, that was just a great, really helpful one to make small differences in your life that will overall make a big difference.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've had that.
Mhm.
Somebody mentioned that one time before, but I think James Clear is the author of that. And Darren Hardy wrote a book called The Compound Effect.
Yes, I've read that too.
It's a smaller version, but it is the cliff notes basically of
Yeah.
Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits, in my opinion, took it to a college level, although Darren Hardy is super intelligent. But that's a great one. I love that. I should probably read that again. If I put my shoes, would you say shoes by the coffee maker? No, shoes by the, yeah. If I put the shoes by the coffee maker, Mandy's going to need another husband. She'll kick me straight out to the street. I can't even wear my shoes in the house anymore, which is cool.
Oh.
Yeah. So those are good. Those are two good ones. And I appreciate your openness about your faith too. I think it's, when you battle things in your life, if you don't have a higher power to go to, it can be a lonely place. So thank you for,
yes, it can.
For sharing that. Tell me, last question I'll ask you, since we've already been over 30 minutes. I don't know how this happens, but it does. What is something that you do? The title of this podcast is Rise Up in Real Estate. And the original thought I had 2 years ago or 3 years ago was to make a place where people could come and rise. Someone said, "Are you trying to start a revolution?" I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe, how can you help us? What do you do that helps you rise above mediocrity? Was my goal. Like there's a lot of terrible things that go on in the world, but there's also a lot of mediocrity in the world. And we need, in my opinion, need to rise above that to be excellent. What is something that you could encourage us to do or that you do that helps you rise up?
Well, again, not every day is promised. And I think a couple things. Each and every day, like I list out the top 3 accomplishments that I want to achieve. It could be big or small, and that's the top of my calendar. So I can look back and say, I did this. I absolutely did this, and feel good about yourself because come on, with kids and life and everything else, you have no idea what the day is going to bring you. But yeah, look at those top 3 goals. And then 2, specifically for the lending world and anybody helping in real estate. So often I think it can just get competitive. Like I helped 250 people, or I did 250 transactions. It's not transactions. It's each and every individual that you help. And you're making such a huge difference in their lives. You got to think on that level instead of just all about the money. It's not a transaction. It's a human that we're helping.
Yeah, that's cool. And do you write down, what kind of calendar do you use? Do you use one on the computer or do you handwrite it? What do you do?
Everything is on Outlook for me. So I actually get that alert. And that's another atomic habit that can help. Like you put a reminder in that. So yeah, the top 3 things I want to accomplish, it goes into my calendar. And then also I am a visual person. So I love a whiteboard and those go on there as well.
Yeah. So you do that every day. You honestly write down 3 tasks every day. That's cool. That's so simple, but so profound. Now, let me ask you this as we're heading off of the show. This might be weird for me to ask this. But I've never thought of this. I told you I was going to try to learn something about you today when we were talking before that I didn't already know, because we've spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
When you were sick, and we haven't gone into it in the show, but did you really think you might not make it? Were there times where you thought you weren't going to live?
Absolutely. I was in MUSC for 2 for 2 weeks. And there was a point, and I had encephalitis. A lot of people do not live through that. And I was in such immense pain. Like it was awful for 48 hours that, yes, I did not think I was going to make it. And I honestly was okay with it. It was just to that level. So.
Wow. So you just thought you were going to be, and then you got something happened and you started getting better. They don't know what that causes it, right? It just, are you cured from that? Is that something that you have to, I don't even know what that is without doing research. I should, but I remember talking to you about it before, but.
It's a brain infection. I had it 6 weeks after I had COVID, and COVID had just, really come out. So the doctors think there's a correlation, but it's just really impossible to truly know. So yes, I've recovered, but I had brain damage. So it took me a long time to fully recover, and I am fully recovered. I'm hard on myself. There are still things that I think I'll always struggle with. Names, if I haven't known you forever and ever, and even clients, and I can tell you everything about the client. And I'll sit there and I'll rattle off, she's a doctor. She does this. They've got 2 kids, and my team will have to help me remember the name. So names are still, it's still somewhat of an issue.
But you don't have, excuse me, you don't have recurring things that you deal with from that. So there was a time where you thought when you're in the hospital, I don't really care if I make it or not. And then you turned the corner, they medicated you, or they helped you, or time went past, and you finally realized you were going to make it. Did you have a different outlook on life after that? You always seemed like a positive person before.
Yeah.
But did you look at life differently after that?
I did. Yes. And one thing, before I had the encephalitis, I've always been a go-getter, and I was probably too much. I worked very hard. I still do, but it's just, some of these little things that I think are, used to think were so important. I've let some of that go, and just really trying to retrain myself to accomplish the bigger things and not get so pulled into, minuscule things that aren't really going to make a difference. So that's been a big learning lesson, is just, it's not, again, to have that balance in life, first and foremost. I think that's the biggest lesson. And again, it's really deepened my faith, and to just make sure that you live to be the best version of yourself you can be.
I can't imagine what the hugs were like with your kids after that, with your dad. And I just can't imagine, I've never been in that situation, but I can't imagine that you were, you must feel like you have a purpose here. Like there's more left for Erica. There's more left for Hunter and Abby Greer need you. And, you've got a legacy to leave. And what a cool, what a crappy thing to go through, but what a great thing to get through.
Yes.
That now you're on the other side. And I didn't really plan on going there. Sorry about that. We didn't talk about that at all, but I know that if people make it this long in the episode, because sometimes they cut me off after 30, but if they make it to the end, I bet this will speak to someone. And I appreciate you being open.
So.
I appreciate that. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, Erica, tell us spell your name, although it's simple, and tell us how we can find you. I'll put your contact info in the notes too, but tell us how we can find you.
Yep. It's Erica, Erica Davis. And we'll put the contact information. And I'm also on Instagram. It's The Stylish Lender. And I have a blog. So definitely check me out, especially if you're interested in achieving home ownership. There's lots of great tips in my blog. And my cell phone number as well is 843-902-6146. And hope you guys enjoyed the show.
Yeah, Erica, you have been I knew you would be. You've been a treat. It's been fun. There's so much more to talk to you about. We might have to do a repeat episode next season or something, but thanks for being open. Thanks for being a true professional, and thanks for sharing just all of you with Rise Up Nation. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Tad.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, Follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.